ask and you shall receive. James Freeman was unlawfully arrested by the Sarita Police Department in Arizona for some bogus assault. I've gotten a bunch of emails for people asking me to break it down. I'm going to give you my take on the law, what I actually think is going on, sort of that we can't prove, and how I expect this thing to actually shake out. Let's talk about it. What's up, you guys? Welcome back to Southern Draw Law. My name is James White, criminal defense attorney, former prosecutor, former police officer. Now, almost everybody is familiar at this point that James Freeman was arrested while attempting to help a local pastor from Sarita, Arizona, do a deposition, a video recorded deposition of town officials after they had unlawfully and without a warrant kicked in his door on some bogus domestic violence anonymous call that would have failed almost every test and would have never resulted in a warrant. Lackluster did a great video on it. Many of you guys have seen it, probably more people than watch my channel. So I've been asked to do my legal breakdown. I don't think that this chief is going to be charged criminally. I'm going to explain why I am not defending him. I want to make that very clear. I 100% believe that James Freeman is a national treasure. I support him 100%, but without further ado, let's just watch the actual encounter. We're not going to watch the whole thing, give you a little bit of background, and I'm just going to play a little bit of lax video on it so you can kind of have the context. And then we'll break down the video frame by frame, and I'll explain why I don't think that this chief of police, Noland, is going to be charged with a crime. Let's check it out.
April of 2024, the Aikens filed a lawsuit against the town. In May of 2025, James released his video about the medians, and in June, the piece on the Aikens family, which brings us to August of 2025. Under Rule 30 of the Arizona Rules of Civil Procedure, parties in a lawsuit have the right to record depositions. The Aikens were set to question several officers, and the depositions were scheduled for town hall. But at the last minute, the department pulled a switch, moving them next door into the heart of the police headquarters, inside a restricted area where public cameras are typically forbidden. When James Freeman arrived to document the proceedings, town attorney Jim Jellison personally blocked him from stepping inside the conference room, despite having already agreed to allow video recording. They wouldn't even let him through the door to set up his equipment before leaving. It was a move that felt less like logistics and more like an intentional wall to keep the public from seeing what was about to happen behind closed doors.
This isn't a public area, sir. I mean, you probably know that if you're in a public area in a government building, you have an absolute right to film.
Look, man, just stop talking.
You must know.
Just stop talking. Oh, I know.
But this, sir.
I know that you've been bullying people too, which is why it needs to be
public
documented.
area.
No, that's okay though. They can bring a camera in there.
Okay, you dropped your pen.
Yeah.
Do you need help picking it
I
up?
do. My hands are full.
Could you back away a little bit?
Sure, man. Go ahead and get down there. Go ahead. Yeah, there you go.
There you go.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Okay, did you get enough filming? Do you have any questions?
We're gonna set up. We're gonna set up a better camera.
We're good. Hey, so he wants you to set my camera up in there rather than me,
But we're gonna help you, just like we did before.
and then we'll leave before you start the proceeding.
Okay, Mr. Aiken's been filming the whole deposition.
And this is a better camera. We really need it for what's
Yeah, you
going
don't talk
on.
loud enough.
It looks more fancy. But
We might even add some
Let's just set it up
microphones.
and we'll leave.
you said he could take it in and set it up.
Are you getting in our way to set this up?
What's that?
Are you getting in our way to
like
set
for you
this up?
do that, yes.
You want me to
You
come
got
in and
my
set up
wife's
this
way.
camera?
What's that?
Are you on camera denying us the
Please
right
get out of my wife's way.
Uh,
Thank you. Come on, baby.
I don't walk by.
You're blocking me.
You're blocking the doorway from the
I
room.
don't want to walk by.
She's clearly disabled.
You're not, sir, you're not coming.
Why? I'm trying to help her in there. Please.
What I'd like to do is call.
Can you please move?
Is to talk to the people that own this
Look,
building
we're
and
gonna
ask them.
I own it.
Whether or not.
I own it. Can you stop being ridiculous and let me set up so I can go? We could have already been set up. It takes me 3 seconds to put this on a tripod and walk out.
Listen.
Can you stop being ridiculous?
No, you can't, because again, I don't know why not. You know, Mr. Aiken, I asked you, I brought this to your attention before.
Yeah, we discussed it.
And I've asked you, show me where you've given me the Rule 30 notice that you were going to do this. I haven't seen it.
one thing that's important is that a couple years back in 2023, the state of Arizona revised its rules of civil procedure. So here's the attachment for the amendment to the Rule 30. And under subsection B, it says if the deposition will be recorded by audiovisual means, the notice must state the method and manner of audiovisual recording and the person or company that will conduct such recording. So again, we don't know whether or not the notice was adequate, but the most important thing that you have to take away from that is that enforcing your rights to record that deposition cannot happen by physical force. It's a civil matter that has to be taken up through the courts. It's never going to be something that the court ratifies for a party to come in and say, nope, we're going to go ahead and hold this door open and physically resist you trying to shut it. The court is always going to ding people for not just filing motions for sanctions or filing motions for contempt and handling that in the courtroom as opposed to having a showdown in a conference room. And so I believe in this particular case, the courts would not ratify a party physically trying to force their way into enforcing their rights to record a deposition. I believe they would expect the person to just file a motion, get the court to clarify, as opposed to having a physical confrontation. But that's just my take on it.
Why would you?
And sir, you don't have it.
Why would you be concerned about it being
And your
documented?
description of Rule 30 is incorrect. Hey, I'm sorry, Miss,
Nobody cares about
She's
it.
busy.
I need the assistant to the police officer.
Wow.
Probably 6 of them, at least, minimum.
Secured area,
Yeah.
so we need to close the door.
It's not,
Well, no, ma'am. My wife belongs in here, and I belong in here.
And his camera.
Keep your fucking dogs to yourself, or we're really gonna have
They've been
problems.
aggressive with me.
Okay.
You don't touch people.
All right, one moment.
Okay, maybe we can do
I'm
this.
sorry, Mr. Aiken just grabbed me and I didn't.
No, I kept you from bumping into my wife. That was clear. And I have it
Hey, how's it
on.
going, boss?
by you real quick?
Sure.
All right, she's gonna
I
need
happen
some
to know
help.
for a fact.
You gotta get out of my
Can
way.
you move, man? You're blocking the
You didn't
doorway.
ask me to.
6 cops minimum, probably.
I think. Shield.
You feel like a big guy?
It shouldn't really require any police officer.
No, it
It shouldn't.
Right, it
For
should.
you to simply be told you're not.
All right, can we set that up on
Where do you want it?
or what?
Step out of the
Or
way.
what, Chief Noland?
Chief, what the hell are you doing? Are you kidding me? Chief,
Take this!
are you kidding me?
I'm not holding anybody!
This is your fault.
I'm not holding anybody!
This is your fault,
What?
counselor.
Why are you doing this? Stop! I'm in a public area!
Can you guys just back up?
Guys, stop!
I'm documenting the beating.
Nolan, stop! Hey, call my wife!
Just back up.
Call all the Tucson guys! I'm not even resisting, you guys are pulling me in different directions!
I can't back them
You're
up.
pulling me in different directions! I'm not even pulling!
You can film. You can film. I'm just asking you to please step back.
She was behind you.
I got it. That's why we weren't pushing. I got it. That's why we weren't pushing. Okay?
Get help! Contact my lawyers, please.
Will do.
Zach and Blair.
You guys are in deep shit.
This was a
Chief Nolan, you're going down for
civil
this.
deposition that the police,
You guys are
against the
hey,
police,
I'm not
that the
resisting.
police
You're
have
pulling me in
decided to
different
intervene.
directions.
Cool. Let's just calm down.
No, no,
You guys have cards.
Okay, can the person on my legs get off? You're cutting off circulation. I'm not resisting. You guys are pulling and pushing me in different
You got your
directions.
lawyers in there.
Who's on my legs? Can you
Okay, I
get them
understand
off?
that,
You're cutting off circulation to my feet, please.
Yeah, and you can't keep him
I'm
down
not
on his
going
stomach.
anywhere.
Chief Nolan, get off his legs.
Get him off.
He can't breathe properly when he's on his stomach. You know
I have the
this.
right.
I'm not going anywhere.
I know, but let's keep it.
I'm
Let's
not
keep it down.
going
You're
Right?
not resisting.
Stop.
He's not resisting.
Yes.
How long have you wanted to do this, Nolan?
We're gonna lean towards me.
Yeah.
All right. Pull this shoulder.
How about answering my
I'm not very
letter?
strong.
I'm pulling your shoulder.
I'm gonna flex it and pull it. All right, ready? Go.
1, 2, 3.
1, 2, 3, 4,
I'm not very
5,
strong, man. I'm old and
6.
weak.
It's actually 7, not 6. 7. You were close.
It's pretty tight on the right.
Where's he? Sure.
Sure.
Yeah, let me sit on my equipment.
Are you live?
Live to everyone. The whole world's going to be calling soon, guys. Did you do the right thing? Did you make the right
They
decision?
didn't even know what they were getting into.
You guys have been waiting a long time to do this, haven't you? You want to attack me for a long time, haven't you? Dee, that video make you mad? And you were up in her face, bullying her? Tell you what, if you walked into my house and did that to my wife...
Freeman, stop. You're not accomplishing anything right now. Let me push your cuffs and deal with what's going on. You're speaking.
Yes, ma'am.
Is he under arrest? Is he under arrest?
Is my camera under arrest?
We will talk to you.
Can we just
We're not going to do this
stall?
right here.
Sure,
This is
sure.
not where we do this.
Can we
We're gonna
stall
take
what's
you
going
down
on?
a
Because I'm
little
just trying to conduct some business.
right now, but we're going to deal with what's happening right this
Sure.
minute, and then we'll go to the rest
Being
of it.
attacked by Chief Noland? Being attacked, physically attacked in a private space by Chief Noland? That's what we're going to deal with?
We're going to deal with what's happening right now.
Falquez, you like taking girls down?
Okay, so we watched it. We know what happened. Keep this in mind. Chief Noland was not involved in any of this up to the point where Freeman says to this female employee, keep your fucking hands off me, or keep your fucking hands to yourself. If you start touching people, we're going to have a problem, okay? He was completely fine to do that. She went and got Noland. I believe that was what happened. It's because shortly thereafter, Noland comes through. But I want to break this down, and I want to show you what happens. Noland approaches Freeman. He originally sticks out his left hand as if he's going to touch Freeman, but then he pulls it back. And then he uses his right hand to cup on the outside of Freeman's elbow and tricep area, where Freeman's elbow and tricep connect. And he says to Freeman, step out of the way. You can tell at this point that Freeman is blocking the door. Now, he then attempts, you can see him widen his legs, and you can see him try to establish a strong base so that he can physically move Freeman. Now, Freeman, I think, I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt here because I don't think he had any intent to do anything illegal at all, and I don't think he did anything illegal. Freeman is trying to get him, I think, to say, I'm going to arrest you if you don't, because then you have the threat of arrest, whatever. Just keep this in mind when you guys are thinking your way through this. You don't need a threat of arrest if somebody physically puts their hands on you. The second that they use force against you, you are seized under the Fourth Amendment, just the same as if they threaten arrest. So just keep that in mind. And again, I haven't talked to Freeman. I've never spoken to Freeman. I have no idea whether that was in his intent or not. I just know it was kind of the heat of the moment, and that might have been his intent, is to get the chief on record saying he was going to arrest him if he didn't move his foot. After he starts to move Freeman, he noticed that he takes his other hand, his left hand, and he pins Freeman's arm inside. Freeman has a camera in one hand, and his other arm is pinned across his waistband. The only thing the chief could possibly say is that he felt the physical resistance of Freeman's hand attempting to hit him. So the one area of this use of force where the chief is really going to have problems potentially is that if you assume that he has the privilege and the authority to remove Freeman from blocking the doorway with his foot, then his use of force that he would be privileged to use under the law would be limited in scope to accomplishing securing the door. And so because Freeman's arm is pinned, it's impossible for us to see whether or not Freeman made any attempt to strike the chief. I don't believe he did. I don't believe he would. But it's going to be his word against the chief's. And on video, you can't tell the difference. So where it could potentially be problematic for the chief to go ahead and execute the takedown after it's obvious that he has moved Freeman successfully away from the door, I would make the argument, if I was representing Freeman in a lawsuit, that his privilege was over at that point because he had removed Freeman from the door such that he could just simply disengage and turn around and close the door and accomplish what he had the lawful authority to do. But that's not what he did. But notice that as he tries to move Freeman, Freeman turns to face him. I don't think it was confrontational. I think it was just the way that the momentum was carrying his body. I'm telling you by the way that he grabs Freeman and the way that he takes him down. This guy is a trained martial artist. This is classic judo kazushi concept. Notice that as Freeman turns to go into him, Chief Noland reaches behind Freeman's neck and uses a sort of a collar tie is how you would describe it in Muay Thai or any sort of grappling art uses the same sort of thing. So you would use you would cup your hand and use the back of your fingers. And you'll notice that he is actually pulling Freeman in a circular motion backwards with his right hand. Very quickly in time, he also lets go of Freeman's arm that he had pinned, and he brings up his left hand so that he can push against Freeman's shoulder and controlled sweep him to the ground. So you have hand on the back of the neck in a collar tie, Kazushi principle at play here. Kazushi means balance disruption. So in judo, the concept of Kazushi is to disrupt the opponent's balance so that you can take him to the ground. So you've got the rotational force of pulling against him on his neck, twisting him in a circular fashion backwards as you're pushing with your left hand on his shoulder. And then what that turns into is as Freeman goes to the ground, the chief controls the impact to the ground. Notice that he's not slammed. And then as he hits the ground, as he goes to the ground, Noland steps across his legs and starts to use his shin. We call this a staple in jiu-jitsu, to pin Freeman's leg to the ground with his left shin. So Freeman's right leg is pinned to the ground by Noland's left shin or left knee. And then you'll see that Noland steps that right foot back to establish base. Sometimes we call that a kickstand, depending on how that is formatted. And it's hard to tell from this angle. But we don't have, now the camera may have been broken in this, I can't tell, but we don't have a hard slam. We have a controlled sweep to the ground, and here's where it's going to be problematic. Let me go on record. I believe that exactly what Freeman said is true. I believe that he's wanted to go at him for a long time. I believe he gave him almost no time to respond. But the problem is, he said, move away from the door, and Freeman does respond, and he says, or what, Chief? So it's impossible to make the argument that Freeman didn't understand what he was asking him to do. And again, I'm not defending him. I'm just saying that's objectively true based on the information on the screen. So the issue is, he was given an order to move away from the door, and his response was, or what, Chief? And he said it twice, and the chief told him twice. Now, I believe he's exactly right. I believe the chief did what he did in hopes that Freeman would attack him and lose his temper and all that. I think he's exactly right. I think they baited him. I think that if he had actually been charged criminally, he potentially could have an entrapment defense. I believe there's no criminal intent. Here's the problem with a potential assault charge and why I think there's no universe where Chief Noland gets charged with a crime. Okay, let's look at Arizona Revised Statute for defense of premises. Under ARS 13-407, Noland will attempt to justify a use of reasonable force to prevent or terminate a trespass or to enforce access restrictions to the room. That's why they moved it to that room. He can't be blamed, although I'm sure he was intimately involved in it. He cannot be blamed for the move to the other room or anything up to that point because he was called to respond. Okay. So the way they're going to frame this in the investigation is, I was off doing my chief thing. I wasn't involved in this. This guy comes in. He's told, all the parties are told, that he can't bring a camera in there, that Freeman can't be there. Freeman is not a party to the litigation. And so, again, you've got the town attorney telling the chief of police, I am denying access to this person to bring in and set up the camera. Okay. They're trying to exclude Freeman. They weren't necessarily trying to exclude the camera because there was some banter back and forth about how somebody else could set up the camera. Their recording argument also fails in this way because it's inconsistent. Keep in mind that they were going to let somebody else set this camera up. They just didn't want Freeman to do it. So for whatever reason, they want to exclude Freeman. That's definitely an issue. But again, you got to keep in mind the chief of police under Arizona law has the ability to enforce access restrictions, and he can use reasonable force under the defense of premises statute in order to do it. And assault requires a specific mental state. And that's where the case is probably going to fail as far as criminal allegations, because you have to be able to prove that the chief intended to have an unlawful purpose. So Arizona ARS statute 13-1203 defines assault as one intentionally, knowingly, or recklessly causing any physical injury. Well, that one doesn't apply because we don't have a physical injury as far as what the chief does. Number 2, intentionally placing another person in reasonable apprehension of imminent physical injury. Again, intentionally is going to make a difference here in just a second. But number 3 is the one that actually fits the best. It's knowingly touching another person with the intent to injure, insult, or provoke. And here's where it's probably going to fail. And I want to be very clear about this. I believe that his intention was to injure, insult, or provoke. I just don't think that the investigators will believe that, because they're going to see Freeman as an agitator and they're going to immediately give the chief the benefit of the doubt. But even more than that, I believe that the skill with which Chief Noland executed this controlled sweep and the fact that it wasn't excessive in light of the circumstances. It's not like what we saw in Oklahoma City where this older man gets slammed to the ground, his head bounces. We don't have that. We don't have a violent throw. We have a controlled takedown to the ground. And because of that, I believe it's going to be easy to sweep under the rug. Again, I want to be clear. I believe his intent was absolutely criminal. I don't believe it can be proven. And I don't think that the people that are investigating are going to be motivated to prove it. And I think that's what the issue is. Because what they're going to say is, look, under Arizona law, whether or not you are unlawfully excluding a person for exercising their rights is a civil matter, a matter for which that somebody can be sued. A person doesn't have a right to physically enforce their rights under civil law. So the fact that excluding them, changing the rooms at the last minute, doing all this bullshit with the recording, the fact that that might open them up to more exposure from a liability perspective does not diminish the chief's legal authority to enforce the trespassing law or defensive premises, which is the trespassing law, right? So what we have is you have a town attorney who can be relied on by the chief of police because they're a lawyer. Chief of police comes and does what the town attorney tells him needs to be done, which is to exclude this person from the room. And he uses force after giving a couple verbal commands, and he does it in a way that on its face doesn't seem like it's excessive. So for that reason, I believe that the investigators who are going to undertake this independent investigation are not going to find any criminal intent. I just don't think it can be proven based on what we see. I believe it's there. I believe it's real. I believe Freeman's exactly right as to what this guy's intent was. I just don't think it holds up under video evidence, and I don't believe it can be proven. And for that reason, there will be no charges for Noland. That's my prediction. I do think that given the fact that Freeman was kind of roughed up a little bit by the other officers trying to get him under control, that you could have a situation where you have excessive force claim after the takedown by the other officers that are using unnecessary force and potentially injuring Freeman. I also think that he could have a Fourth Amendment claim under the unlawful arrest because he was held, according to him, for 6 hours and released with no charges. That's pretty much a de facto arrest. He was cuffed and he was taken to a different location, looked like an elevator. He was taken to a different location for like 6 hours, and they released him 6 hours later and didn't charge him. That's a de facto arrest, I believe, under the case law. So I believe you have a false arrest claim. I just don't think the chief is going to be charged criminally. In closing, I do think that this expands the liability to the Aikens. I think these guys really screwed this up. I believe that they're going to pay double or triple the amount of money they would have had they just handled this properly by paying the Aikens. And I believe now they're going to have to pay the Aikens, and there's going to be new claims that the Aikens will be able to invoke. I think there's retaliation claims that can be added to this for the Aikens. I believe now they have a new plaintiff in Freeman that they're going to have to pay for 1983 actions, because I think it's pretty obvious that they arrested him falsely for some nonsense with assault. For the same reasons you can't prove intent on behalf of the chief, I don't think you can prove that Freeman intended to trespass. I don't think that you have an assault claim at all. But if you were going to say, well, Freeman committed criminal trespass by not removing his foot, no, I don't think it was clear. I think that Freeman was an invited guest to this person. He was there as a media member to record it. And I think that he's protected in that way, and I don't think that he intended to break the law. And so for the same reasons I don't see criminal charges coming out of this for Noland, I don't see criminal charges sticking for Freeman, certainly not for assault, but I don't think for trespass either, because I think that he had a reasonable belief that he was an invited guest and allowed to be there to conduct this business legally. So I don't think anything sticks here. I think it's a wash, and I think they're going to be on the hook for a serious civil liability claim under 1983 to both Aiken and Freeman. So I know that's not what you guys want to hear, but it's really important that I'm just honest about what I see on video. I'm not an activist. I think James Freeman does incredible work. I'm glad he did this. I just don't see any pathway to a criminal charge for the chief in this situation. So anyway, if anything comes up in the comments, something I didn't know, I'll write a companion post over on Substack. I'd like to invite you over to Substack. It's absolutely free to join. You can join on a paid tier if you want, but you don't have to. That's only for people who want to support the channel monetarily. I don't put anything on Substack that people have to pay for. If you don't want to go to Substack, but you'd like to support the channel monetarily, I'll leave my Venmo and PayPal links both here on the screen as well as in the description. Please remember to like and subscribe and leave a comment on the video. Check out some of the other videos on the channel and leave a comment on there as well. Until I see you again, take care. Always film your interactions with the police and keep your evidence to yourself.